started talking as soon as she hit the record button. Hello, happy Tuesday.
That's okay. Yeah. I feel like that happens. I'm surprised that doesn't happen more where we start the conversation before she actually starts recording. And then, people miss the first part of whatever we're talking about. But we've made it. This will be episode 160 of this podcast. We've been cooking a lot of episodes, a lot of talking.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, like, as soon as right before you hit record, I was gonna say I like Alexis's post that she did. Her little that's all I was gonna say. I was like, well, I like that pose, and then you hit the record button. So anyway, I love that post. That looked great.
It was awesome. Yeah, no, we always appreciate when our guests get creative with the pictures, and we have an awesome guest. Deb said it was Alexis, and I just have to say this because I feel like Alexis doesn't really need an introduction. People love her. That reflects in the downloads. That reflects in the end of the year tournament that we do for guest of the year. Like every year, all of Alexis's fans and friends and family come out of everywhere to support her. But I do have to let everybody know, and I think if you've listened to our podcast that we've done with Alexis before, you know this. But this is Deb, I don't know if you knew this. This is the one woman that my wife gets incredibly jealous of when I hang out with her and spend time with her and talk to her. And it's not for any romantic reasons. In fact, she was actually jealous that I had the opportunity to talk to our guest today. That's what she's really jealous about. And so I could be in some trouble tonight. I don't think she was super thrilled when I came in here and she knew you were on the calendar. And so I may pay for this one, but it's always worth it to talk to Miss Alexis Smith. What's going on?
I'll tell you this. I will write her a love note and send it to her in the morning, so there's no marital issues.
It might be too late, but that would be great.
That's so funny.
What's going on? I feel like it feels like it's been forever, but you and I actually saw each other, like a month ago at Harper's Rancho Cordova athletes seminar, which was pretty cool. So it actually hasn't been as long this time.
Yeah, that feels weird. Well, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful situation just to be back in his presence while he was, doing his thing. And then being around you, it was interesting. So I'm excited to see, what comes of that. But yeah, how long has it been since I've been on your podcast? Has it been a year?
Probably pretty close. Deb and I were just talking about that. And I can't remember. It might have been when was your Europe trip, Deb?
Europe was I want to say a year and a half ago. So like not this March, but the March before that, because I remember it was over my spring break. Yeah, so a year and a half ago. But yeah, we were just saying, before we hit record, I was just saying, like, I can finally meet Alexis. I haven't been here yet. So thanks for filling in for me wherever I was. I think that's where I was, and I think we concluded Europe. I'm not sure, but yeah.
March 29th, 2022. That's the last time you were on here.
Wait, what did you look at to pull that up?
Apple Podcast. Yeah, I searched your name with Connectable, and we're not big enough to find it any other way. So I have to really give them all the details to find our small little podcast.
What about Spotify?
Spotify too. I'm actually an Apple Podcast user, but we're on Spotify too. We're actually everywhere that you can find podcasts. So if you can't find us, you're not trying very hard. YouTube as well. It's on YouTube, so you can see our faces on YouTube. Like, we really do give people a lot of opportunities to find this show, and whether they find it or not is up to them. But yeah, everywhere.
So I listened to your podcast on Spotify. I could not for the life of me figure out how to watch it though. So is YouTube the only way to watch it, or is there another way?
It's only on YouTube right now. I should get it on Spotify too, huh? Do you watch the podcast on Spotify?
I guess maybe I haven't figured out how to do that, but I've tried to watch it, but I can't figure that part out. So I just listen to it.
Okay, because I know ours for sure, our video is not on there, but I do know like other podcasts have video on there. I should look into that.
Yeah, like Joe Rogan has his on Spotify, right?
Yeah, that's easy. You can listen to it or you can watch it. Yeah, which I love.
Okay.
And it's right because when you posted one of the last snippets I saw you post was of you and Cedric, and it, to me, like, that's funny to be able to watch watch you guys laugh and communicate. Like, I don't know. I guess I like listening to it, but being able to see people that I know, it's fun. It's fun for me.
It's funny.
Um,
It's funny you say that, because when I listen to podcasts, I listen to the majority of them at work, and so it's audio only, right? But if there's a really funny moment in a podcast that I want to see, I'll do a screenshot of it and then go to YouTube later and then watch it. So I do the exact same thing. Um, but yeah, I should look in. I know, I don't know why I've never put two and two together. I know Spotify does video now. I've just never even considered or thought about putting it on there, but that's a good idea, especially if people like yourself would like to see that. We want to make Alexis Smith happy, especially because you're a 3-time guest on this show. So whatever you want. And especially after we insulted you when Cedric was on, and you immediately commented on Instagram, like, hey, you guys are just making fun of me right to my face. And so, yeah, I'll come do your podcast again.
I went on there to support. I was like, let me support my people. And then as soon as I jump on, it's about stealing clothes, and I can't remember what else, but loved
I think
it.
it was a movie. I think you took a movie of his, like a karate movie.
I'm not going to say he's lying, but but I don't remember that.
We'll say he's lying.
He's lying.
Perfect. That's how this is going to work. He's not here, so we'll talk about him when you're not on, and he's on. We'll talk about you. Deb, actually, you need to be on an episode with Cedric. I think you'd enjoy that one a lot. He's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. Yeah, sweet guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we always have a good time with him. And so, but yeah, anyways, we're super thankful that you're on the show again. Like I said, this is your 3rd time on the show. So you're up there with some of the people we've had on the most, for sure. And I think my brother is number 1 by far. And then I want to say Trav Cole is number 2. And then after that, I can't really remember. It might be Nicole, your friend Nicole, Deb. But it's a good thing if we ask you to be on multiple times. That means that, 1, we really enjoy having a conversation with you, and then 2, your numbers do really well too. So yeah, we appreciate your influence for sure.
Okay, then my goal is to try to beat whoever the top, Trav, Cole, your friend Nicole, and who else?
My brother Jordan.
And I'm not going to beat your brother. I won't even try to compete, but
he's been on a lot.
For the other.
Perfect. I like it. We like the competition.
Yeah.
So, like I was telling you guys, and I don't know if I mentioned this already on the air, but this episode will come out right before Thanksgiving. And I feel like, I don't know why I feel like we've talked about this before, Alexis, but is Thanksgiving a big deal for you? Do you go out of town? Do you stay in town? Do you host it all? Like, what are your Thanksgiving plans look like?
So I am weird. I don't like holidays. I'm the Grinch who stole everything. I don't like Thanksgiving. I don't like Christmas. I don't like anything. But I'm trying to enjoy and find enjoyment in everything, right? And so I grew up with my family. We didn't celebrate Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving. We always celebrated it the day after. And we didn't like turkey. We didn't like stuffing. So we would have Mexican food the day after Thanksgiving. And since my mom passed away, we don't do that anymore. And so everyone's kind of like with their own families. I have a sister that got married last year. So she's spending time with her new husband and his family. And then, I have another sister that's doing the same thing. And then I will be with my boyfriend's family at one of their friends' houses. And then I am doing a Friendsgiving at my place this Sunday with just a small group of people. But yeah, I normally don't like Thanksgiving. And it's weird. I'm trying to get into the spirit of things, but yeah.
It's actually, I'm glad you said that too, because I'm going to make a note here really quick on something that when I last reached out to you, you posted a video that just came to mind, and I wanted to talk to you about that. So I'm going to make a note here really quick. I'll bring that. I'll come back to that, but so that's interesting. So I imagine it's difficult in your position because you are, as we've established on this podcast multiple times, like, people love you. And I think anybody who has an opportunity to spend just a few minutes with you understands why you're such an infectious personality. But I imagine that gets difficult during the holidays too, because you're probably getting a ridiculous amount of invites to all kinds of things. And if you're not really into the spirit of it, it's like, people, just please leave me alone, because I don't want to do any of these things. I love you. I just don't want to be around you right now. So is it like a challenge during this time of the year?
Um, it's it's not too crazy. I think I used to feel bad about saying no to invites like that. And I think the older I get, the less I feel guilty about saying no. Hey, or I'll just say, hey, I'll try to swing by if I can. If not, I'll catch you on the flip side. But I think I also have so many friends that they just kind of understand. I don't care about those things, and they don't care that I don't care about those things. They just want to spend time, right? Which I love, and I appreciate that too. But for me, I'm like, I'd rather just enjoy this day off and chill on the couch. You know? What about you guys? What do you guys do?
I usually go, I live, I live by myself. So I usually go home to my family's house, where there's many people there, many people. And luckily we all get along, but I consider myself, what is it? We're not like both an introvert and an extrovert. So like, what's it called? An ambivert. Anyway, so like I'm an extrovert, but at the same time, like Alexis, like you, like on my days off, like I just want to, like,
Yes.
I need to decompress. So there are times when there's like an overstimulation of too many people around. It's like too much. So I will find myself keeping busy and just doing all the dishes and just
Yes.
staying busy. I love it though. I love seeing everyone. It's a good opportunity for me to see my family because I don't ever get to see them, especially everyone at the same time. So it's like I can see everyone. That's cool. That's good. And we have a great time. We have the traditional, turkey, ham. People bring all their side dishes and stuff. I don't cook, so I just bring like the store-bought pies and like coffee and 5 bottles of wine. But and so yeah, so I just, it's just the regular old thing, but it's cool. It's nice to see family, and there's been Thanksgivings where I've stayed here, especially during COVID. I just had like my friends and I who we just had a big old Friendsgiving, for those of us who couldn't go home to our families because of COVID and everything. But just the traditional stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that's what and then Josh, what do you guys do?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. It's a pretty, like, it's not a huge group right now. I mean, people have gone their different directions, so the group's not as big as it once was. But we get together with family, and the kids are running around. Aunts and uncles are playing with the kids. Stuff is getting broken or almost broken all over the house. Like it's a lot of craziness, a lot of fun. But we enjoy it. We enjoy it. But yeah, it's a pretty small group that we get together with. It's nothing crazy. So nothing compared to what the group that you're with, Deb, on Thanksgiving. It sounds like it's a zoo over there.
Lots of children. Many children.
That part I'm used to. I'm used to that part. Yeah, that's why I've said on this podcast before, when we get together with Rachel's family, one of her sisters has 2 boys and a young daughter, and then her other sister has a son. And so anytime we're around them and the boys are around me, it just turns into a scrap. Like they're like pulling on my shirt, pulling on my legs. I'm tackling people. It is what it is. So it's the price of being the fun uncle. So what can you do?
The good life.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah. So it is kind of crazy, because I know some people that it's like Thanksgiving is the biggest holiday for them. Christmas is cool and all that, but like when it comes to Thanksgiving, it's, same thing, Deb. Like you have a ridiculous amount of people. Everybody has their specific dish. there's certain aunts and uncles who don't like each other, don't want to talk to each other. Like it's just this whole massive thing, and they love it. They look forward to it every year. So, but it is interesting. Like Alexis, I don't know. I guess I would have imagined you were someone that enjoyed all that. I knew that you were someone that likes to decompress and kind of have your quiet time, but I don't know why I would have thought you would have just loved that stuff. Not at all. She just rolled her eyes. If you're only listening and not watching, I got the biggest eye roll. Like absolutely not.
Hate it. Hate it. Well, I'll say this too. I can't cook.
Okay.
So, you don't like, I'm going to host a party and I can't cook, like the audacity, right? And you don't want to be the one that can't cook on Thanksgiving because that's an important meal, right? And so it's funny because I'm hosting this weekend, but I'm not making anything.
You're providing the space.
I'm going to make everything beautiful and everyone else is bringing everything. And I'm happy with that.
Makes sense. I do feel like Thanksgiving does feel like the big, like if you're a cook in the family, a chef in the family, that's like the one you flex, right? And you're right. You can't go there with something weak because everybody's going to be talking about it all year.
The whole family will talk about you. So
which I enjoy. I do enjoy that part of it, but I'm also not the one making the food. So like when a certain grandma or aunt or uncle, thinks they have just the dopest dish. And then it's like, it's far from it. They just have no clue. Like that part is fun. I enjoy getting in on that, but when you actually have to eat it, it's kind of tough.
Yeah. In the Black community, the mac and cheese is a really big deal on Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah. No, I've heard, and I've heard it's also, and I don't know if you've been in this, like, because you are the only Black person on the show right now. So I'm going to ask you. So do you, when it comes to the mac and cheese, I also know a no, and also with like potato salad, right? If you bring a store-bought mac and cheese,
it's so disrespectful.
Have you been in a situation where that's happened? Or everybody just knows better?
Everybody knows better.
Yeah.
That it would never happen. And my grandma makes the best mac and cheese, and she passed it down to my aunt, and my aunt passed it down to her daughter. And so now they make the best mac and cheese. So you would never even think to bring a box mac and cheese. It's anywhere at any time.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I figured. I figured you had never been in that situation, but just in case you had, I would love to hear that story. But all right.
I would love to be a taste tester of like a mac and cheese, like cook off, like everyone brings their own specific dish. I'll do it. I'll taste test.
Yeah.
Maybe we could throw that together one of these days.
That could be a podcast thing.
Yeah. If you're bold enough to eat my mac and cheese.
Yeah. Mine will be disgraceful. Mine will just be like the boxed. Like, I don't even know if that's allowed, but like mine will be not, no, not allowed. I'm like you, I don't cook. I know. Look at her face. She's like, no, I know.
She just yawned too. She's bored by what you're saying. She's that offended.
She's like, okay. No, yeah. I'm the same way. I don't cook, but so for the Friendsgiving that you're hosting, so is everyone just kind of are they bringing the traditional Thanksgiving foods, or is everyone just bringing whatever?
There's we're having like salmon, lamb, tri-tip. We're gonna do some Persian rice. One friend's making like a pecan Brussels sprouts. Another friend's making like some type of fruit. Like I think she said pear salad. I think someone's doing cornbread. So there's going to be some staples. Everybody hates turkey, so we're not making a turkey at all. And I think maybe like some pies, but I feel like it's kind of Thanksgiving-ish, but not all the way. And I feel like people are going to be having Thanksgiving dinner 4 days later. So we didn't kind of want to go all the way themed with Thanksgiving. Yeah.
That sounds delicious. That sounds pretty fancy. Lamb and salmon. That's not bad.
Not bad at all. But Mexican food on Thanksgiving ain't bad either.
I love Mexican food. That didn't sound bad at all to me. And I do enjoy turkey. I'm one of those people that does enjoy turkey, but having Mexican food the next day, that's not bad either. Nice. I would just roll out of that weekend. It would be a massive problem. So you know what? I had this thought, and I know Deb, you and I talked about it maybe last Thanksgiving, but every once in a while we'll go to Reddit, and there's a subreddit on there for pretty much any occasion, but it's AITA. It's like, am I the a-hole? And so they put out these scenarios and they throw it out to Reddit and decide, am I the a-hole in this situation? One of the ones that we talked about last year was the person who brings the person who's like on the diet, right? Or the person who has a very specific, right? I feel like Alexis kind of smirked a little bit because I feel like we've talked about this before in a different sense. But on a day like Thanksgiving or a holiday where someone is taking a lot of time to prepare food, sometimes if someone comes in with their Tupperware and they have their meal prepped, very lean meats and vegetables and all that stuff, people start getting weird and getting offended. And that's basically what this question was. This person said their mother-in-law was incredibly offended that she brought all of this food and just, laid it out on the table during the Thanksgiving meal. I know, Alexis, you've been in the bodybuilding world, the fitness world, and all that. So I imagine this has happened to you before. I think when we talked about it, Deb, we didn't have a problem with it. I could understand why the mother-in-law might have had some feelings towards it, but I didn't have a problem with it. But first of all, Alexis, have you been in that situation before? And how did you handle that situation? Like, if someone's on a diet during Thanksgiving, do you really care, or is it like they just gotta kind of get on board or leave me alone?
I don't think that I have ever met anyone on a diet on Thanksgiving. I have been the person on a diet on Thanksgiving.
Okay, I feel like we've talked about this before. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure people thought I was so weird. And it's like, no, it's okay, just have a little and this and that and the other. I would never have an issue if someone was on a diet on Thanksgiving. I would probably try to sneak them a little cornbread and mac and cheese, just like a bite or two. But I also think the Reddit said the mother-in-law had a problem with her doing that, but then you got to really kind of dive a little deeper. What is your relationship outside of you bringing your own food to her Thanksgiving dinner, right? Do you guys not get along already? Because if you don't, that's pushing it, right? That's kind of, mother-in-law doesn't like you, and now I'm bringing my own food to lay on the table. So I don't know.
I don't think we talked about that. That's a great point, though, because that would be like the final straw. Like,
that's it.
Circumstantial for sure. Circumstances. You got to look at the whole picture and lay out the different. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I do like the idea, though, because I'm sure it happens everywhere. Anybody who's in that situation and is just trying to be good, and who knows why they're doing it, right? They may have a very specific reason. Health wise, it may be because they are in the bodybuilding fitness world and they're preparing for a competition, whatever it might be. There's a reason they're doing it, right? And I do like the idea of all these bad influences, trying to slide the pie their way, slide the cornbread, slide the the gravy. It's all of these different influences all over the place. They just can't help themselves. Me personally, I don't really care. It wouldn't bother me. It's like, if you're not forced, or you're not preventing me from eating the food, so you do what you want.
Yeah, as long as you're not dissecting everything on my plate and talking about ew, I would never, and ew, so fattening, and ew, so. As long as that's not the case, I don't care what you do. And honestly, some people don't like Thanksgiving food. So if they want to come and be around people just to be around and give love and get some love, to each his own.
100%. I agree with that. So, okay. So before I forget, I'm going to bring up this thing that you posted a while ago, and I can't remember the exact wording. So this is just a paraphrasing a little bit, but you did a couple of stories about how, you don't want people to feel obligated to invite you to things, or you don't want people to feel obligated. You know what I'm talking about? You could probably say it better than I will.
Yes.
But before you explain it, I remember I was sitting on the couch, I saw your story, and I looked at Rachel and I said, this is wild that she posted this, because yesterday, the day before that, Rachel and I had that same conversation because of some people that reached out to me about something, and they were kind of going around the issue. It's like, I know why you're doing this. Let's not pretend like we're super close. I know eventually you're coming around to a question because you want something from me. And then two texts later, sure enough, it's like, hey, by the way, are you still involved in this? Or can you help me with this? We should have just started there, because I'm a grown man. I don't need all the fluff. Like just if you want something, like we're not that close. And I'm also not stupid. I'm not smart, but I'm not stupid. And so it's like we could have just skipped all this stuff, but like you can very clearly tell that someone's trying to soft sell you so that they can come around to what they're actually trying to ask you. And that's one of my pet peeves. Like it drives me nuts. And so when you posted that, I'm like, we literally just had this conversation. It was a little different, but very similar. And so I wanted to talk to you about that on the show because I feel like that's something that people deal with all the time, but no one's bold enough to share it on their stories like you did, which I appreciated.
So funny. So yeah, I think the conversation that you had with Rachel and the post that I made, or like they have this, they're along the same pulse for sure. So with what you were talking about, I hate that too. Like if you need something from me, I don't need you to, but this is the thing. I don't need all the fluff, but some people do, right? Some people require that extra fluff in the beginning. I'd very much so rather you be like, hey, haven't talked to you in 17 years. Can I borrow $5? Right? I hope you're well. Let's catch
100%.
up. But do you have dollars, right? And some people can't handle that, right? They'd be like, didn't even say hello or ask how I've been doing. Like, I don't care. You don't really care how I've been doing. We both know that because you haven't reached out in 17 years before you need the $5, right? But some people do require that extra fluff. I cannot stand it. But I was yeah, I think what made me what made me say it? I think I have so many different conversations with loved ones, and I have a lot of sensitive friends. Like if they don't get invited to something, their feelings are hurt. They're, oh, what did I do? Or I'm not going to invite them to mine. And I've never been that kind of person, right? And so like even when I have these conversations with my friends that are upset or hurt by that, um, I can't relate, right? Because I even think about like weddings, the one day that it's supposed to be about you and the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. I cannot tell you how many people stress about, oh, I have to invite this person or they're going to be so mad at me, or I have to ask this person to be in my wedding or they're going to hate me. What? What? Like I would not be mad if someone didn't invite me to their wedding. I would not be mad if a close friend had all of our friends in their wedding and didn't ask me to do it. Like I would not take offense. Even for example, like do you remember Michelle got married?
Michelle Raby?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. She had so many bridesmaids.
It was a ridiculous amount. It was a nonsensical amount.
I'm glad you used the word ridiculous. It was crazy, right? And so it was so crazy. And I loved her. She was like my sister. We had gone through the trenches together, right? When she asked me and told me all the other people that were going to be in it, I said, hey, I do not, like, I will not be, like, I don't need to be in it. I don't want you to have me in it because you think I would feel a certain kind of way. Like, you don't need 20 bridesmaids up there, girl.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but since we're on this topic, and I need, first of all, I need to have Michelle on this podcast. It's been a minute. She hasn't been on this one. She's been on my other one.
Yeah.
But so I remember going to her wedding. And so first of all, to your point, when I saw how many people were in her wedding party, first of all, as insane as the number of people was, it did not surprise me. Like I didn't look up there and think like, that's weird. It's like, oh, that makes sense because she's just that kind of person. But like we've all been to Capitol. And so, you know, the stage at Capitol, which is where she got married, it went across the front. That's a big stage. I'm like, this line of people just goes on forever. So I'm glad you brought that up. I love Michelle. I interned for her for a while, but yeah, you're right. It was a insane amount of people.
It was crazy, but I also know, women have those issues when they're getting married. And I'm like, it's not that serious. And I don't care if it's a dinner party or I don't care what it is. Don't ever feel like you need to invite me because I just don't, who you want to be there should be there. Outside of what you think they're going to think about why you did, like, it doesn't matter. Like who you want to be around, who you should be around. And what's crazy is, so that day that I posted that, I went to a birthday party for a neighbor, a new neighbor friend. Arash plays basketball with this gentleman, and his wife is a part of the PTA. I've met her a handful of times, but Arash loves the husband, and they play basketball a couple times a week. So we had to go to that party, and I think there were two other things that I went to, and people had posted. They were like, "Oh, is that the one that they pity invited you to?" And I was like, oh, "That's insane that you would think." And maybe I shouldn't have posted it that day, but it was just how I was feeling at the time. So I just posted it. It had nothing to do with the events that I was going to that day. But we get to the last event. It's the surprise party for the wife. We get there. The husband opens the door. He comes outside and he closes the door and he hugs my boyfriend. He gave me a hug and I was like, "Hey, so good to see you. Thanks for inviting us." And he goes, "Hey, that post you posted earlier, that wasn't about us, was it?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Absolutely not." He was like, "Oh, because I'm just saying, I invited you guys earlier and blah, 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 this and then the other." And I was like, "Absolutely not. Was not about you." And to think that I would make that post and then step into your house is crazy, right?
Yeah.
But then another one of the girlfriends came up and greeted me, and she was like, "Hey, that post wasn't about us, was it?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not, blah, 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 blah." And then the birthday girl came up to me. And these were all separate conversations. So no one probably knew that they even had the combo. And she was like, "Hey, I saw your post earlier. Was that about us?" And I was like, "Absolutely not, girl." And she goes, "I was so worried." She said, "I saw it. He was in the shower this morning." She was like, "When did you invite them? Did you invite Arash and Alexis?" Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "No, that was not, that was not about you." But what I loved was that they asked me instead of assuming, because I feel like a lot of people would have just had me at the party and been like, "She posted that about us." They asked me, each one of them, like individual, like those are my people. I love those kind of people because, like, hey, I just want to get it clear. Like we've been nothing but love to you. Like we just want to know, like, what's up. And I don't know what's sparked it. I think maybe something had happened, and I was having a conversation with a friend who was feeling a certain kind of way about, I don't know, I can't remember at this point. But I don't need an invite. All that to say, I'd rather be at home.
Alexis, I'm just gonna invite you to everything now.
I will block you.
Yeah. This is the
Oh
one
my
time you
God.
talk to Deb, the one and only time you talk to Deb on this podcast.
She's like, "That's it. She's done." Question. Hang on. Going back to the wedding. Did the groomsmen was there just as many or no?
I think he had, Josh, maybe you know better than me. I think he probably had 4.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I think they had to double up.
Oh,
Yeah.
dig down. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, no, I think there was 2 girls for every guy, or at least there might have been more. I don't know, but that's interesting though, because like with her, and I don't want to talk too much about Michelle. She's not here, but like she is, but knowing her for as long as I have, she is very much a person that is very concerned about how other people are doing, almost more than herself, definitely more than me. Like I'm not that concerned. And I like to think I'm a fairly compassionate person, but like her compassion is to a different level. And so that is interesting because, like you said, there's some people that need the fluff when they're being approached about something. And I also think there's some people that are so concerned about how the other person is going to receive it that they have to give the fluff, if that makes sense. And she seems like one of those people that's so concerned about how other people would feel that it doesn't surprise me that was the case with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to say too, I feel you on everything you're saying, because I'm 100% the same way. And in fact, there was a situation, I'll leave out leave the majority of the details out because I don't know who listens to this podcast. But I was talking to somebody, and they basically they spilled the beans a little bit, let something slip that basically there was a get together with this group of people that I'm involved with, and I was not included in that. They didn't realize that I wasn't invited. And so this person felt terrible. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. I said, dude, it doesn't matter. I promise you, I'm not offended. It's fine. And so then a couple of days later, it comes up again. He's like, I still feel so bad. I said, man, I'm telling you this right now. And I'm not just saying this to make you feel better. You could have literally come up to me and said, we are not inviting you to this. And I'd be like, perfect, not a problem. I didn't really want to go anyways, but this makes it even easier. I don't have to think of an excuse to get out of it. And so I'm like, that, but that's just how I've always been. It's like, that stuff will never offend me because, like you said, the person who this get together was for, it was to celebrate them. If they don't want Josh Takimoto there, they don't need me there. You know what I mean? That's like, it's for them. It's not for me. It's not to hurt. It's not to spare my feelings. Now it worked out because I didn't want to go. So it all worked out for everybody. But like, it was a very similar situation where, you know, this person let it slip. And it's like, it doesn't matter. You cannot hurt my feelings with this at all. And I'm not going to think about this again until I tell it on my podcast. I will share it with everybody here, but
right.
but yeah, it's a weird thing though, because like you said, there are a lot of people that that's a really difficult. They get their feelings hurt really easily with that stuff. And I try to, when I hear these things, I try to put myself in their position, but I do have a difficult time with it sometimes because it's just not who I am. You know, but I mean, but you're kind of the same way, Deb.
I'm the same way. I mean, I'll get FOMO and I'll joke around with my friends like, they didn't invite me, but it's like a total joke. Like I don't get offended. Like I seriously am like, I'm kind of like you, Alexis and Josh, just kind of like, okay, I get to stay home. Cool. Or I get to like wind down, or there's times where I am home and my friends are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, shh, I'm like nothing, you know, I just like, hurry up, think of something, say you're out. I don't know. So anyway, and they're like, oh, you're not doing anything? Come on out. And I'm just like, no. I'm just going to stay here, you know? So there are times where I'm like, don't want to do anything. I have a very socially active calendar. So sometimes I'm like, I'm just done. I'm burnt out. I'm done. But I do not get my feelings hurt at all if I'm not invited, like literally, like could care less. But again, I'll jokingly give someone a hard time, but then they know I'm joking because I obviously I'm like, I enjoy my bed, I enjoy my TV, and I enjoy downtime and all that because I talk to too many teenagers every day. I need to not talk to anyone at the end of the day sometimes. So yeah.
Well, I was gonna say it's part of like your job is a part of that too, because you are surrounded by, I mean, however many, you know, class periods you have during the day, you have that many kids every time. It's a lot of people to talk to. So yeah, at a certain point, you're kind of like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to talk to anybody else. I'm tapped out.
Yeah, I feel bad at the end of the day. So my last period class today, I had to tell kids to get away from me. I was like, okay, go away. Tell me your stories later. I'm done. Like I just like all tapped out, all done. But yeah, I get tapped out socially too. So it doesn't bother me if I don't get invited.
Yeah. You got to handle you have to manage a lot of different energies and attitudes all day. That's crazy.
Girl, yesterday in one of my classes yesterday, I had two girls that usually walk in together right before the bell rings. One of the girls wasn't there, and I was like, oh, we're so and so, and she was like, girl, we don't talk about her anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You guys are best friends. And she's like, no. And so she tells me this whole story about whatever happened between them. I don't even understand what happened. But anyway, she's very upset. I'm not talking to her again, blah, blah, blah. And like throughout the whole period, like I'm getting bits and pieces of the drama, you know? And so, and I'm also like, I need to know, because if you guys aren't friends anymore, I don't want to make an embarrassing comment in front of you two saying like, why aren't you hanging out? Because I always make fun of those two. Anyway, so that was yesterday. Okay, today they come in like skipping in together, like all besties again. And I'm like, what are you guys are just messing with my emotions. I can't go. Like, I'm so annoyed now.
Taking you on their emotional roller coaster with them.
I can't do it. And so today I was like, I had too many stories from other kids that aren't even in my class. And I'm just like, go away. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I can't even do it.
I think that means you're the cool teacher.
I try not to be. I really try. I have to be a big old B word sometimes just to get them to like, I don't care about your social life, go away. Sometimes I'll ask and sometimes I'm just done and tapped out, but it's entertaining, but exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. Not for me. My wife does it. And so I get to hear the stories through her, and that's good enough for me. It's wild out there for you guys as teachers. One of the things I was thinking too, and it kind of, again, I'm going to refer to Alexis's Instagram. I do more than just look at your Instagram, I promise, but I feel like I keep referencing your Instagram. You recently just did some kind of get together with some friends that you've been close with for quite a while. I don't know I think you posted how long you've known these ladies. I can't remember. It was a long time though, whatever the amount of time was. And kind of tying into what we're talking about as far as people getting their feelings hurt and all that, like some of it too, I feel like as you go throughout life, and I think the older you get, you realize that the people that are in your life and the people that you're connected with, some people are not meant to be there for the whole span of your entire life's journey, right? Like there's some people that you'll know for a year or two, and maybe you'll be close for a year or two, and then you guys kind of go your separate ways. And there's other people that you feel like you've been connected with since the day you were born, and you will probably be connected to that person until the day you die. And so it's interesting how there's all these ebbs and flows. And I think some of the issues that we run into sometimes with people is that I don't think everybody looks at it that way. I think once they become a friend of yours, they feel like they're a friend of yours for life, even though that's just not the reality of life, right? Like there's people, and especially with, again, Alexis, you've known so many people, you've known so many people throughout your life, you've had so many connections. And we've talked about this before, but like there are people that are going to feel like they're closer with you than what the reality actually is. And so when you posted that, it is pretty cool when you have that many connections and you find a group of people that you're that close with, that friendship remains that long. Like it's just a different bond. Like there's something special about that. So I would love to hear you talk about that a little bit, like what that's like, especially when you know that many people, all those different connections you've made, this one group has always kind of remained together.
Yeah, I think so. The group that I posted over the weekend, we did a girls trip to Napa, just a quick little day trip that was some girls from Masters. So
yes,
I did
that's what it was.
Yeah. So all the girls were from class 9. Fina was there. She's from the class after me. But I think it goes back to, remember I was talking about the trauma bonding with Connor, when I was telling you about how we went to Minneapolis to visit, and Connor reached out and was like, hey, would love to see you guys. And we all connected. And we were we went through torture together. And so it bonded us. And so I feel like that group of women, we went through the same things, and we made it out. And so I think we just over the years, some of us aren't as close as others are, but the relationship and the bond, I mean, we've got a group text. We started, making trips out to visit each other, for the ones that are out of state. And so I don't know, I'm blessed to have those kind of people, because when you know someone for that extended period of time, they get to experience who you are today, but also they knew who you were over a decade ago. That's crazy. And I think some people are consistent, some people are who they are, and maybe they've like matured a little bit. I am completely a different person than I was. Like the woman that went to Napa with those girls is not the same person they met, in 2006. And we joke and we laugh about it. And even after we left Napa, we went to one of the girls' house, and we just sat in her backyard, and we were laughing because they were saying something about something that I did when we first met. And I was like, I looked at them and I was like, I hated all of y'all. Like I could not stand any of you. And now I love them so much. So yeah, I think I'm thankful for those people, because I do believe that some people are in your life forever, and then some people are just seasonal. And I think we get caught up. Maybe we're hurt or we're bitter or confused by, friendships that we thought would be lifelong friendships, but they were just there for a season. They were supposed to help us get through something. They were supposed to help us realize something about ourselves or about the world. And so I'm very cognizant of that. And I'll say this too. I think out of all of my friends, and we talk about this too, my love language is not quality time. All of my friends want all the quality time. And so I do believe every year I get better about spending more time with the people that I love. Because I can go 3 years without seeing you, and then I'm going to see you and it's on and popping like we never missed a beat. And I understand, like, some of my friends, that hurts them. Me, it doesn't hurt me. I'm just like, oh, hey girl, so good to see you again. But so I'm more aware of that. And so I feel like over the last, maybe especially the last 3 years, I'm better about spending that time with people who require it. But yeah, love friends, love people, love my people.
Yeah. No, I love that. Like I said, it was a cool thing. And I love what you said about the seasonal friendships and the seasonal relationships. Because honestly, and I've mentioned this before on this podcast, it's one of the best things I ever heard going into marriage was this idea of throughout the course of your marriage, you're going to have almost like mini marriages, because the person you're getting married to is growing, changing, evolving, and life is changing. And so the person that you met at first, when you first start dating, is going to be very different 10 years down the road. You're still married, but there's a lot of stuff that's going to change. And so it's almost like you have these like little tiny mini marriages within one marriage. And if you can understand that and kind of look at it through that perspective, it's going to make life a lot easier. Because if you're constantly looking back to the person that you met initially and you're expecting that person to be there, or it's like, well, why isn't that person this person now? It's like, it's unrealistic. Because that's like, Rachel, and you know this because you met us years ago when we were still in high school. I met my current wife in high school. If I was the same person today at 36 that I was when I was 16, there would be a massive problem for me as a human being. I have not grown at all. You know what I mean? And if she was cool with that, there would be a huge problem with her too. Like, this is not how it's supposed to be. And so you're going to change over the course of that time. And I think if you can understand that the person's going to change along that, and you kind of view it through that perspective, for me, it's one of the best pieces of advice I ever received, because it really does make it so much easier to understand when people are going through different things. It's like, it's not the same person. Different season, different life things, different experiences have happened at that point. And so you can't expect that person to be the same. And so the fact that you found a group of women that all understand that, and like you said, the Alexis they met 10 years ago is very different than who you are now. And they all love and respect and appreciate you for that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I love what you said about how different friendships just require different like time, or, some friends they want a little more time, and some friends are like cool with, hey, a month later, hey, sorry, hey, how you doing? And they're like, good, how are you? So I have friends from all different walks of life of like, I haven't seen them in years, and we'll just randomly text each other. Like, we picked up where we left off. And then I have some friends who are like, oh, absolutely not. If I don't hear from you in 2 days, like, I'm blowing up your phone. Like, why haven't I heard from you? Like, they just, need a little more. But I think it's important to realize that everyone's different. And if you value, that friendship, it's not so much that you're spending so much time with this person because you care about them more, like them more than this other person who doesn't require a lot of that time. It's just different. And it just shows that you're able to adapt to each person in your life. And I think that's important to keep those friendships as well. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think some people will be like, oh my gosh, like, your friend is so high maintenance. Like, why are you guys even friends type deal? And it's like, well, I value their friendship. And if they require a little more time and I have it, then that's fine. And I have, these other friends who I have a friend, Christine is one of them. I have a friend that I went to college with, Alexis. She is so good about staying friends with me and like reaching out to me, because I will like never I'm horrible, and she will always be the one to reach out and plan something. And I'm like, why are you still friends with me? I'm the worst. Like, I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not reaching out to you. You still like me. Like what? And she's like, no, we're busy. It's fine. And I'm like, she's got 2 kids. I have 0. Okay. So I'm like, okay. So anyway, so she's really good about reaching out to me. So I'm grateful for her and keeping our friendship alive, basically. Yeah. So I think everyone's different. And I think it's important to point that out, and you don't have to treat every person in your life the same, or else,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Oh my God. We're embarrassingly similar in that way, because you're saying like this friend is so good about like harassing you about hanging out. Like all of my friends do that for me. Like there will be messages like 3 back to back, and I just don't even respond, and they're trying to hang out. And then finally I'm like, okay, hey, yes, let's do it. Like when, right? And I have so many of those kinds of friends. And it's the same thing. Like most of my friends have husbands, have children, have these crazy careers. And here I am with no kids, and they're reaching out to me, planning girl dates, like planning all the trips and everything. And so it's the same. Like I'm so thankful for those friends, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm a horrible friend. And I'm working on that. And I feel like I've been saying it for such a long time, but I'm watching the gradual progress in that, because I do want to be a better friend, right? Obviously, if you have a friend that's constantly reaching out to you, she values that, right? And so sometimes I'm really proud of myself when I'm the one that reaches out to the girlfriend. I'm like, hey, do you have any time for me? Like that is a rare occasion, but I have like this sense of pride when I'm able to finally do it.
Exactly. No, yeah, same. It's, sometimes I'm like, pat myself on the back. Hey, I reached out to you this time. Hey. No, but no, it's important. That's why I love all different kinds of friendships. Like I'll be the one to bug some of my friends, and then vice versa. I have some high maintenance friends. I have some friends who we're just in a group chat. We never see each other because we don't live close to each other, but we're in a group chat every single week. We're like popping in, updating each other, saying funny jokes, just kind of picking up where we left off. So I really appreciate the differences. I think it would be boring if all of our friends were the same and had the same needs. That would be exhausting. I think that would be exhausting, actually.
Oh my gosh, if all my friends were like me, I would never see them. And we would all be happy, but we would never see.
It is funny because I feel like that is because obviously one of those friends that will send you texts is in the other room at my house right now. And so she's and I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if you knew this, Deb, but when I first reached out to Alexis for the podcast, the first time we had her on, I reached out and she got back to me and she's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I would love to do the podcast. And you got back to me pretty quickly. And so I'm like, cool. And I put in the calendar. It was all good. Now, like I've told people on here, I have a shared calendar for the podcast with Deb and with my wife. So that way we can make sure we're not, crossing paths with family stuff. And so I remember she got home after me that day and she walked through the door and she just like was glaring at me. I'm like, what did I do? And I'm like, hey, what's going on? She's like, you have Alexis on the podcast. And I'm like, oh no, I should give her a heads up first. But she found out on the calendar and she was not happy. And I don't know if she was more upset with me or Alexis, but one of us was in trouble for sure. She's like, oh, that's funny. She didn't return my text. I said, well, I got mine back in like 5 minutes. Not a big deal. And I told Rachel, I said, if you want to get, connected to Alexis, just start a podcast. It's as simple as that.
It's so simple. Hello.
She hasn't done it yet. So.
And what I love about her is she reached out to me and she was like, you responded to Josh, but you haven't responded to hanging out with us. And I'm like, Josh doesn't require me to leave my house.
That's true. Rachel almost required me to leave my house that night.
That was so funny.
but it is funny because you kind of do have that reputation amongst people. Because when I got the text from you a little while ago, was it last year, when you have a teacher friend that was looking for different people for career day at a local high school. I'm blanking on her name. I apologize. Thank you, Lauren. Sorry, Lauren. And you got me connected with her, and I was able to speak to the group about podcasting. And I just had to let them know, like, I don't make any money doing this. So hopefully you guys are more successful than we are. But afterwards, I was talking to her, and she was kind of asking like how I knew you, and I explained the connection, and somehow it came up how, Rachel was shot you that text saying, hey, why'd you respond to him and not me? And your friend Lauren just kind of shrugged her shoulders like, that's Alexis. That's kind of how she is. So it's like across the board, people notice how you are and they still love you. So that's a good thing.
I don't know why, honey. Like, I don't understand, because I'll have friends that I'll respond. And what my problem is I don't like seeing, on the phone, it'll have like 12 texts, the bubble of the red. I hate that. I need it to be clear. So I will clear out, like I'll go and press on all the texts, and I'll tell myself I'll read them and respond later. But just to get the bubbles off of my phone, I'll just tap them all. And then I forget, obviously, right? Because that's an idiotic thing to think that you're going to go back and respond. But then so when I get a chance, I'll go back and respond. And I have friends that be like, Alexis, that was 3 weeks ago. I was checking on you 3 weeks ago. And I was like, well, I'm great today. So,
well, I don't want to call you out about this either, but I will say, after the initial reaction from my wife and how she, responded to all that, next time I text you, I'm not saying you did on purpose, but you left me hanging a little longer than the first time. And I'm just going to say, I think it was because you knew Rachel was, nearby. So I think if it wasn't for her, you would have responded immediately like you did the first time, but I think you had to let it hang a little bit.
That is so funny. If I respond immediately, excuse me, that means I have my phone in my hand and I'm already doing something.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, boom, boom, boom. But no, I would never. Well, maybe next time I will delete action just to make sure she doesn't get upset.
I think we're good now. I think we're good now because she saw you on the calendar this time. She's like, oh, cool, you got Alexis. So I think we're okay. I think we're past the difficult times.
Yeah. The toughest part, we worked through those.
But yeah, is she still jealous? Yeah, she is. She probably is like waiting right outside the door, waiting for an opportunity just to rush in here. Yeah, exactly. But that will probably never leave. But she's fine. She'll survive.
I love her.
Me too. Well, we want to make sure we're respectful of your time. It's it's getting a little bit later. I had another question for you. Oh, Deb, we don't need to go through this whole thing again, but one of my favorite stories is when you were first on the podcast. Again, another story you posted where the guys were checking you out on your stories. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. I don't know if you remember that. You were in some tropical place and Alexis is like doing like a selfie, recording some story, and there's a dude behind, two guys walking past her. And she sees one of the guys turn around and check her out. And then she calls him out on the story. It's the funniest thing. I need to go back and find it. It's one of my favorite things I've seen.
The funniest thing. So I was walking in this direction. They were walking towards me. So as we pass, I was on a video. So I'm talking, I don't know, maybe about how beautiful the scenery was. And so I'm talking so I can see myself and I can see behind me. So once they get behind me, I can see them in my phone. Like they've turned around, they've stopped walking completely and they're standing there staring. And so I saw them and I'm like, ah! And I turned around and I saw them.
You're like, hey.
When you brought it up on the podcast, I went back to that message because you I think you responded to it. And so I was able to go back and look at it and I was just cracking up.
It's one of my favorite things. It's my favorite thing because like in most situations, someone would be like, they'd post it later. It's like, oh, by the way, did you see the guys check me out? You did it in the moment. You just called them out. I was like, hey, I see what you're doing right now. And you guys all laughed about it. And it was a funny video, but you got caught red-handed.
Me.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So if I can find it, I'll share it with you, Deb. It's a fun video.
You're so funny. Deb, what's your Instagram?
At Ginger Spice 28. Am I not following you? That's disgraceful.
Oh, you might find this interesting before we get out of here, Alexis. Deb just recently got her massage therapy license. So she is doing massage therapy.
So what do you like go to people's houses?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a traveling masseuse. Well, I guess masseuse is not like, we don't use that word, I guess, is what I found out in massage.
Oh.
I don't, yeah.
What are you saying?
Massage therapist, because I don't care what I'm called, whatever, masseuse, whatever, but a lot of people, Josh, don't even make that face, but a lot of, going into massage school, like some people are very like, I am not a masseuse, I am a massage therapist.
What's the difference?
I don't know, because technically I'm a CMT, certified massage therapist. If we're going to get technical in terms of like, I have my California certification, whatever, but masseuse, whatever you want to call me. Anyway, I give massages. So that's what it's a little side gig right now. I love it. People love their massages and they're so happy and they're so relaxed. And it's so relaxed. It's weirdly relaxing for me as well. Because like I leave a chaotic day of yelling at teenagers all day. And then I get to go to people's houses and as of right now it's people that I know or friends of friends or like referrals, like someone's sister or mother-in-law. So like I have a connection to everyone whose house I go to. And they're just so like calm and relaxing. It's just a nice little change of pace. And so, yeah.
Okay. We're going to have to connect offline because I need that.
Gotcha.
That's what we do here. Connectable. Boom.
Connected.
Connected. Right. I don't know why I'm not following you. That's disgraceful.
I just saw that I am following you. Mine is happy to be here 1438. Yeah, so I would love to have you come here, and then I'm sure my neighbors, I have girlfriends that I can connect you to as well that would love those services. But before we go, Josh, you said that this podcast was supposed to be about gratitude.
I'm grateful that you're here.
And that's enough.
I'm grateful that you text me back. So yeah, gratitude. I know. I'm like, that's the thing. And I guess this is a good or a bad thing. Deb and I have talked about this before. There's some guests that we feel super comfortable with. Like I know I've got Trav Cole coming on the show in a couple of weeks here too. We just have so much fun having conversations with you guys, my brother, Jordan, Nicole. I mean, there's certain people where we get to the recording night and we're like, oh, we didn't really think about what we were going to talk about tonight, just because it's such an easy conversation. So that's a compliment to you. Or it means that we're horrible at planning and we got a little lazy when it came to what we were going to talk about.
All of the above.
Yeah. But gratitude is a good thing. And, I don't know. We've always talked about like with Thanksgiving, you always hear people talk about like, what are you thankful for? And I think sometimes it kind of gets like the actual, like being grateful for the things in your life, being grateful for people, opportunities, whatever it is. Sometimes it feels like it becomes a cliche thing because everybody does it around this time of the year. Which is a bummer because I feel like it is such an important thing to everyday life, just being grateful for the things that you have and not because I mean it's always a weird thing too because right, you want to strive and we want to strive for more, always want to strive for something greater, but that doesn't mean that you can't be content and grateful for the things that you currently have. Well, also it is a really, like, I enjoy the topic a lot, so maybe we should have spent more time there, but it always bums me out around this time of the year sometimes, which is weird because you have people talk about it all the time, but I think it becomes a cliche thing. So people are like, okay, cool. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my house, my job, or whatever. And they just kind of toss it out there like it's not a big deal. And I think for anybody who doesn't have those things, it's a pretty big deal. For anybody who doesn't have a job, it's kind of a big deal. Or anybody who doesn't have a great relationship with their family, those things are kind of a big deal. And so I feel like, unfortunately, around this time, as much as we focus on it, it also becomes watered down, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but thank you for keeping me accountable on this podcast. I appreciate that.
That is so funny. Yeah, I think more recently, I've made it a priority to even say it out loud that I'm thankful for my health. And I'll like touch my chest and I'll take a deep breath in. I'm so thankful that I can do that. And that feels so good. I'm thankful for, and I'm getting older, right? I'm almost 40. So like I'll touch my knees and I'm like, I'm thankful these little wobbly knees carry me around. Like I'm so thankful for those things because there's a lot of people who aren't healthy today. There's a lot of people who can't walk today. There's a lot of people who have, so many different health issues going on. And I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful for my everything I got going on. And I worked hard for it. I work really hard at it. And I'm thankful that I'm able to do that. So that's like one of my things that every day, maybe like the last couple of months, I've made sure to say out loud, because I think that we forget about that, right? Even in the list that you listed, you're like, I got a job, I got a home, my family, but we forget about like just thankful for my health. I know so many people like their mom has cancer. I just heard a friend has their 2-year-old baby has a tumor on the back of his brain. He's having surgery tomorrow, right? So like, there's so many different lives that are being impacted in that way. And so I'm just thankful that I don't have that. I might have a lot on my plate, but I don't have that. And I'm so thankful.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah. Sometimes when I feel like complaining about, I don't know, a bad hair day or whatever, I'm just like, I have, something silly, first world problems, but like, I have to think about that too. I'm like, look, I have students at my school that are in not my PE classes, but other PE classes. There's a girl that's got one leg and she's like doing, and she has a prosthetic. She's doing everything. She's running. She's doing all the things. And so I have to like remind myself, I'm like, you have 2 arms, 2 legs, like you're good, like relax. And so it's just good to be, in perspective, to just be reminded of those things that you can do and of your body. I love the human body. I'm very appreciative of that. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Just like everything works. I can walk, I can run, I can work out. I can breathe, just super grateful. So I totally agree. All that. Yeah.
There we go. It was a very good episode. We're always grateful to have you on this podcast. And as always, we look forward to seeing, like I said, your massive group of friends and family come support you for the end of the year, guest of the year tournament. It's always fun. And who knows, you're on the same side of the bracket as Cedric, I think. So you guys could go head to head this time again, which you beat him last. That was the kind of what we talked about last time. You beat him from a ski slope.
That is so funny. Wait, what, when do you guys do that? Is it December?
I think it's the first week of January. So once the year wraps up, that first year, we kind of do that as our final goodbye to 2023. So it's always a lot of fun. People get very competitive, which we enjoy. But
I did. I'm not even but I got competitive.
She got very competitive. And I've said this before. One of my favorite parts about you and getting competitive and you really pushing for that guest of the year thing, there was like a massive spike in the amount of downloads your episode got because of that. And we got so many messages and so many people commenting on going back and finding that post or finding that clip or the episode on YouTube or wherever it may have been. And so many people were like, man, I missed this the first time. I had no idea she did this. I'm just catching up, but like, I love everything. Like that was probably the best part. Like people getting more, exposure to what we're doing is great, but like seeing people get so connected with what you were saying in that first episode was actually a really cool thing. And so, hopefully that happens again.
Yeah, it will happen again. And that's special. I think, the one thing that I loved about that is, when I was sharing it with friends and family, they were like, you didn't tell me you did a podcast. And I was like, oops, sorry, I forgot. But what I found really touching was I had little cousins that went and got the book that I recommended. And they were reading the book and didn't even tell me. And so for me, I was just like, my little cousins, I didn't even know they listened to it. Right. But they listened to it and got something valuable from it. And I just, that was such a blessing for me to even just be a small part of that, because people are listening and people are paying attention. And so, yeah, I'm thankful for that. Thankful for you guys.
Well, we're thankful for you. And I'll say this too. I know a couple people that actually got that book because of your recommendation as well. So that author owes you some money. They owe you something because you've sold a few books for them.
I'm gonna see if I can get some commission.
I think you should. So, hey, I don't know if you want to do this or not, but if people are interested in following you and kind of following along with your journey, do you want to put your social media out there or not so much?
I'll put it out there, but I will also say I'm really bad about accepting friend requests, but I'll kind of like be on the lookout. Happy to be here. 1438. That's HAPPY, the number 2, the letter B, here, HERE 1438. That's me.
Awesome.
Give her a follow. You will not be disappointed. One of our favorites. I'm not afraid to say that. We love all of our guests, but you are really one of our favorites on this show. So if that offends anybody, listen to the first 30 minutes and you'll know I don't care. So there you go.
You're not getting space.
Exactly. Not going to bother me at all.
And then sorry. I know we're doing exactly what we said we shouldn't do, talk over each other. I'm sorry, because it like cuts out, but like
it's hard not to.
I know. I'm sorry. I know. I did check. I am following you. I knew I was. I was like, there's no way I'm not following her. And so, yes, I am following you, but be on the lookout because you just mentioned it. My massage therapy page is now following you. So it's called Mermaid Therapy. So you'll see that. That's my business page.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. I'll be on the lookout for it and then we'll connect for sure. Thanks so much for having me on your podcast. And Deb, it was so nice to meet you.
Finally.
Yeah. All right.
Fabulous
Thanksgiving.
All right. You do the same. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And we will talk to you guys next week. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable podcast.